All right, let's jump in and start applying some of the things we've learned about design principles and beautifully simple storytelling to an actual shorthand story. So as you can see on my screen, I've started off with this really simple story, and it's basically just text at the moment. And we really need to work out how we're gonna make this a lot more engaging and use the principles that we've learned in the previous video to really turn this into a beautiful story. So let's start off with the title section. I'm going to actually add a new section, and instead of a title section, I'm going to choose Reveal. And then I'm going to click on Edit Background Media, and I'm going to add a video here. So I will add that there. And this will automatically create a fallback image and also a tall screen image as well. So let's save changes on that. Okay, excellent. Now I'm going to add another frame and click on Edit Media. And I'm going to add another video, and I will choose this one here and click Save Changes. Beautiful. Okay, looking pretty good. We can see that the videos change when we scroll down, but there's not much actually happening in terms of our transition. So I think we should go back in here and change the transition to fade. And let's just make that slow. You can see there's a really nice transition occurring now. Okay, let's have a look at what we could put in this part of our reveal section here. It's a nice negative space in this video that we can use. So let's come down and we have our in this issue text here. I'm going to cut that text and bring it up here, and I'm going to paste it into this text box. And this in this issue text needs to be bigger, so I'm going to click on the plus there, and I'm going to make all of this text a bit bigger as well. $175, I'll make them all 175. There we go. I'm also going to change the font here, and I'm going to move these to the left. There we go. That's starting to look good. To finish this reveal section off, I'm going to add a couple of images. So I'll do that here. And finally, I'd like to add some sort of a logo to my reveal section as well. So I'm going to come back here into my text box and insert a spacer. And then I will choose my logo image. And I'm going to resize it down to, let's say, 50%. I'll then left align it so that my logo lines up with my text. Okay, I'm feeling pretty good about my reveal section, although I've just noticed that I will need to add some transition effects to these two images. So I'll jump back in here, and I'll set this one to fade, and then I'll set this one to swipe left. Okay, that's looking good. Let's come back down to our text section and see what's next. So we have our first chapter. We have our first chapter text here. Let's come down here and we can actually cut this text out, and I'm going to create a new section. And I think for this section, well, I'm going to start off with a text over media section for the chapter heading, and I'm going to add a text section for the text. So I'll copy my text in here, and for my chapter section, I'll grab this text and copy it into the heading text here, Festival of Surfing, and I will remove the background. I'm going to come in here to section options and change the background color to use one of my theme colors here. I think I'll use the light blue. That's looking good. Okay, I also think it might be nice to make these chapter sections look a little bit more interesting. So I'm going to include an icon here. This first one, I think I'm going to use an illustration of a shell. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Great. I can remove this title section now too, because I've replaced it with my reveal section. I would like to make this text a little bit more interesting. It's a little bit plain at the moment. So I think what I'm going to do is change the size of this initial text here to be a little bit bigger. And I'm going to change the actual font as well. So let's do that. And I'm pretty happy with that, but I might try this one. That's looking even better. And I think I'd like to add a drop caps to the word "the" in this first paragraph. So I'll hover over the P and I'll come over here to the drop cap option. And then I'll make my text a little bit bigger again. So this one is 150 and so is this one. Okay, that's looking really good. Now, for this here, I'm going to add an image, and the way I'm going to do that is by creating a new section, and I will choose a media section, and then I'll choose the background image, and I'm going to choose this one here. And then if you remember back to our theme, we wanted to include some rounded corners to kind of go with the surf theme. So I'm going to click here and I'm going to choose a custom border radius. So I'll type in my numbers here, and there we have something that looks pretty cool and on brand. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to split the section, and then I'm going to drag this text above my image. Excellent. Now for my heats and final text, I'm going to add another text column, and I'm going to copy and paste the final text into the second column. Great, and now all I need to do is convert these two headings, and I'm really happy with that. So now on to the next section. Map the surf route. Again, the text is quite plain. We've kind of created this standard way of introducing chapters, so let's reuse that. I'm going to duplicate this section and I'm going to drag it down here. And then I'm just going to copy and place the text here, and I'll replace my image here with this illustration of a surfer. And I'll remove the shell. And now I just want to change the background color of this section here. That's looking great. Now, if I look at my text, it sort of talks about this surfer, Matt, and I really want to show a picture of him. So I'm going to click here and I'm going to add a text over media section. And I'm going to type in some text here. Surf, shape, sleep, repeat. And I'll left align that text there. I'll make it bigger. And I'm going to change the text, and I'm going to italicize this word shape and emphasize it even more by changing the color of it to yellow. I'm going to come over here to edit background media, and I'll choose an image that I have here of Matt. I'll save those changes. And I'd actually like to add an effect to this image. So I'll click here on filters, and I'm going to choose this black and white preset here. There we go. It just helps kind of set the tone. I'm also going to do this effect on the other images in this chapter as well. To make the text even easier to read, I'm going to click on section options, and I'm going to apply a little bit more of an overlay. I can also choose from some of the gradient presets down the bottom here too. Okay, that's looking really good. For the next section here, I'm going to choose a text section, and I will change the color of the background of this text section to be yellow as well. And I'm going to copy this text into this section, make it bigger again. I will choose the font that I'm using for the lead-in text for the previous section that I've designed here to make it match. And I'll be consistent with my font size of 150%. There we go. And again, I'm going to choose the drop cap option for this. Okay, looking good. I'm going to change the background for this text section as well to match the one above. Let's click here and change that to yellow. I'd like to add some more images now, so I'm going to create a gallery. Let's click on Add Section, and I'll choose Media Gallery. I'll update these images with some more of our surfer. Just a note here too, you can actually change the focus of an image by clicking Set Focus and then clicking where you want to set the focus to. I'm going to set a filter on this one as well to black and white to match the other images. I'd like this to feel on brand and have that surf vibe, so I'm going to set some custom corner radiuses on these images. Okay, cool. That's looking really awesome. So the last thing we need to do for this section is to come and change the section options. And we're going to again apply the yellow background to this section. Now we've got this sense that this is all one cohesive chapter in our story. So now onto our next section. This section's called Big Waves. Let's start by splitting this section. So we can click here, split section. And we're going to need another text over media section. So let's come back up here to the last one we used. And I'm going to duplicate this section. Then I'll drag it down. And update the text, update the illustration, and I'm going to change the background color to black, like that. Looking good. So now I can remove this text here because it's in the title section above. And I'm going to split this section as well. So let's click here. And this is also going to be a dark section. I'm going to choose the drop caps option for this one and change the font. I'll increase the font size a little bit too. And that feels pretty good. Now to emphasize this truly big waves text, I'm going to click here and update the color of that text just to make it stand out a little bit more. Okay, so if we look at our text here, we have information about wave size comparison. This is interesting content as text, but it could be a lot more interesting with images. And because we're comparing scale, I think we can actually use a scroll point section to visualize this in a really interesting way. So let's click here on a new scroll point section. And I'm going to click on this edit scroll points frames button. And I will change the base image. I'm going to upload my scroll points image that I've created. And this is basically just one really big image that we're going to define points on that we can zoom into as we scroll through our story. So I'm going to remove these other frames here so I can start fresh. And I'm going to click on Edit Highlights for this first image. And I'm just going to select the entire image here. I'm going to turn the outline to none. And I'm going to click on Darken Around and close this here. Okay, great. Now when I scroll through, you can see that I have one frame in my scroll point section, and I'm going to start adding in my text. Right. So now we need to come in here and edit our scroll points frames again. And we're basically going to create new frames for each of the images within our scroll points image. So we can click here, and the first one we will be selecting there. Again, I'm going to choose none and darken around, and we'll close that. And then we'll go through and do this for the rest of the frames. Great, now you can see that we've got all of our images here, and it's really giving us a feeling of scale. I'm going to now add the text to each of my scroll points. Okay, great. Now I've added all of my text to my scroll point section. And you can see that's looking really great. I've got some quotes here. So I'm going to add 2 text over media sections for those. Great, now I'm going to add the text to those sections. And I'll add a block quote here. And another block quote here. I can also add a background gradient to my text over media section here. This helps make it easier to read the text. So now I'm going to keep applying these principles to the following sections, and I'll go ahead and do that now, and I'll meet you back when I'm done. Okay, I'm finally finished working on my story, and I'm ready to show you what we've created. As you can see, I've reused a bunch of the styles throughout the various sections of our story. And I've also added some multi-column layouts, some more quotes on top of background media, some more transitions in reveal sections. I've also added a chart section for some of the text that included some data, so that I was really using the data to tell the story. And if I continue scrolling down here, you can see that I've included an image carousel too for our section on types of surfboards. Finally, I've included this interesting wave illustration to separate our content from our footer. And finally, I've included a call to action with a button encouraging the user to subscribe to our digital magazine. If I click on preview, you'll be able to see that I've also added in some animation to some of our images. To do that, all you need to do is come in here into the editor and click on the Manage Media button, and then choose from either one of the presets of animation styles, or you can click on the custom animation controls. So as you can see then, when we scroll through our story, we have some really subtle animations for our illustrations for each chapter text over media section. Our scroll point section is looking really good. Our block quote on top of background video is looking great. It's easy to read. Our chart section is looking great. Our carousel is working really well. And finally, we have our call to action. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I really hope that you learned something. If you liked this tutorial, please let us know, and we'll be happy to create more for you. Until next time, we look forward to seeing what types of beautiful stories you continue to craft with shorthand. Thanks for watching.